Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pop Jedi. I'm one of your hosts, Rob DeLaro, and with me, as always, is Miss Diana Marie. Di, what's going on?
Hey, everyone.
And of course, we have Sith Jade. Sith, what's going on?
Hi, guys.
So we actually we have this. The Jedi Order is here. We do have a bunch of news that came up this week, as it always does every week. We'll try to catch up on as much as we can. Again, before we start here, we just want to thank you guys for your continued love and support. Absolutely appreciate everything. Of course, Viper Gaming, thank you for the shout out, guys. Really do appreciate it. And if you have anything that you want to bring to the table, just in terms of your theories or whatever we've got, coming up in this episode, just drop it in the comments and we'll definitely get back to you. And that's what this is about. It is about fandom, and we do care about what you think when it comes to things. So with that, we're actually going to start off with our top Pop Jedi news. So we're going to get the order started here. Diana, what do you have on the table?
Hail to the King, baby. So Evil Dead, the game, is coming out. It's going to be released on April 24th, which is going to be the 30th anniversary of the original Evil Dead movie. Mm-hmm. So if you guys haven't watched the trailer yet, it is absolutely groovy. There are Knights, Deadites, of course, the original crew from Ash vs. Evil Dead. We're going to see Kelly and Pablo. It looks like a co-op game, so we can band together and help kill some Deadites, so it looks pretty awesome.
It's crazy, dude. It is literally the Ghost Beaters. And you seriously, I would never have thought in my wildest dreams, as short of a time as it's been, and the fact that, we were talking about, that, he decided to, as he said, hang up the chainsaw forever. The fact that those three got together, Dana DiLorenzo and Ray Santiago and El Jefe himself, Bruce Campbell, to do the voice for these characters that look very uniquely similar to them is amazing. What a time.
So we also have Star Wars The Bad Batch, which is coming out. It's going to be released on May the 4th, so that's super exciting. All of the Star Wars fans are freaking out, myself included. So we're going to get into that. It's going to be talking about the Clone Force 99, those troopers that defected. They have their own individual style, their own individual, combat, things that they can do, and I'm so excited to actually see more of them and see what they can do, see what they do as a team.
To kind of piggyback off of that, it is sort of, well, actually it's more than sort of, but it's absolutely adorable that Ming-Na Wen is so, of course, if you guys aren't familiar, she plays Fennec Shand in The Mandalorian. She's going to be playing the voice of Fennec Shand in The Bad Batch. And I personally, because of the timeline, I do think she's probably a teenager, at this particular juncture in the Star Wars universe. But she's so excited about being part of everything, being part of the Book of Boba Fett and being part of The Mandalorian. And her joy for being part of this world is infectious. You know what I mean? It really is. So I thought that was beautiful that she tweeted that she was like, oh my God, I'm so excited I could cry, Yeah.
And I mean, obviously it's their role, so they're going to be excited about it, but just to see them really, put it out there constantly about how happy they are to be a part of the fandom with us, participating right there.
I agree. So there was some actual Spider-Man news this week, and bit of trolling because I'm going to be honest with you, I got a little bit Batman detective with the 3 fake titles that came out. Tom Holland, Jacob Batalon, and Zendaya got us all hook, line, and sinker. Came out with their own fake titles: Homewrecker, Home Slice, and I think the other one I can't remember what the other one is. But the new title, the official title, is No Way Home, which, I mean, honestly, that kind of puts things in perspective. Maybe maybe there's some sort of interplanetary situation or a multiverse situation. I don't want to get too deep into that, but of course the fact that Doctor Strange is actually part of the story in some capacity, really kind of puts that all into an actual situation that could happen. But I think it honestly has to do more so with the fact that he's still on the run, due to Mysterio saying that he was a murderer. But again, it is Doctor Strange, and I'm going to make a prediction right now. Well, first of all, he's showing up in WandaVision. There's no question about it.
Yes, absolutely.
But I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to set up Doctor Stephen Strange. Let's be respectful. He is a doctor.
Yes.
I think they're trying to set him up as the next Tony Stark for this phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like he is
I
actually.
mean, he's got the goatee, so he could
Yeah.
just fill those shoes
Totally.
perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead trailer just dropped on Netflix. So the film is going to be about a casino heist in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, during this apocalypse, Vegas has been shut in, so the casino owners are hiring a squad to come in and do this extravagant heist to steal all their money back and try to fight against the hordes. So we're going to be seeing that on Netflix on May 21st.
I'm gonna be real honest with you guys. You can see I love Zack Snyder. I got a Justice League shirt here right now. I'm a huge fan of his in terms of like, just from everything I've heard in regard to his career and how he treats actors, and probably one of the kindest directors and producers there is out there. And I say this in all seriousness, because we're not in a position of saying something is terrible or something is awful or you shouldn't like it because whatever. That's not the point here. I do have to get a little bit real when it comes to the actual trailer for this one. It kind of worries me only because when somebody actually faces tragedy within their lives, a lot of people tend to, kind of focus on other things. I think that's why he went back to Justice League to finish that cut, because he wanted to forget about the suicide of his daughter, which is completely understandable.
Yeah.
But I'm just hoping that Zack didn't somehow bite off a little more that he can chew. If you're working on Justice League and you got the $70 million from, Warner Brothers or HBO Max, to finish that, like how are you actually going to be working on something else and focusing your attention on this? And then on top of that, this Army of the Dead has like, has like a cartoon prequel coming out, and it's got all these different spin-offs, kind of attached to it that he's working with. I'm just really hoping that, it's the same thing with WandaVision. If you just kind of threw everything at the wall at the end of this show and just to see what sticks, just for the sake of doing it, I think that would annoy me a little bit, because, like the story in itself is already meaty enough without mutants, without Mephisto, without, you know what I mean? Like it's supposed to be a personal story about Wanda Maximoff and her, not being able to really live the life that she's ever, always wanted to live. It just seems like it's not possible. Like she is kind of like this conduit for depression and sadness. And that's kind of like the point of the show that we'll get into later. But that's kind of my feelings on the Army of the Dead. And again, it was only 30 seconds, so you can't really make an assumption. I'm just going to wait until like a 2-3 minute clip comes out, and then I'll make my opinion from there.
Going back to Star Wars stuff, we saw that Daisy Ridley said that she would absolutely love to join the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is very exciting for me because I loved her even before she became Rey. She was an amazing, amazing actress. And just the amount of excitement that she, talked about just even thinking about coming into the Marvel Universe was awesome.
Yeah, it's nice to know that, she's willing to kind of step into this world. And, I don't get the divisiveness when it comes to her character. The fact that people think she's a Mary Sue is absolutely ridiculous. Listen, on top of all the other stuff, being on Jakku, which is a garbage planet, and just all the hardships she faced, the fact that people said like, she never trained and it just, came to her. You obviously weren't watching the same movie that I was. That's all she did was train. She's like
her
running.
Training was her life.
Yeah, that's all she was doing.
Her training was her life and trying to exist. And you got to think about it. Her survival and everything depended on her getting food and rations. Depended on her surviving.
Mm-hmm.
If she didn't bring in enough stuff, you didn't get to eat. So that in itself is training.
Mm-hmm. That's absolutely true. And the whole thing with her is that. Like you said, she is a phenomenal actress. And, if I was Kevin Feige and I was Marvel Studios, I'd be like, you want to be part of our crew? Which character would you like? And right this way,
Which one would you like? Take your pick.
Like immediately. So we had some horror news come out. Paramount Plus put out a bunch of releases yesterday. And one of them happened to be I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I personally, even though I'm a fan of the classic film, I think it's a little messy. I did really like the remake of Pet Sematary. I thought it was pretty on point. I like the ending.
It's like a nice fresh look at the story.
Mm-hmm. I like the ending a little better. And I also like the fact that, the whole thing is like, they shouldn't have put it in the trailer that there was a twist, and it wasn't actually Gage that was the one that was going to become the Predator. It was actually going to be the daughter. And I thought that worked really well because it makes more sense that she would have more wits to her, you know what I mean, to be able to do that kind of thing as opposed to a 3-year-old child, So it actually really worked for me. So they're doing an original story from Pet Sematary. I don't know if Stephen King has anything to do with it. I know he never did an origin story for Pet Sematary. But, with the whole Wendigo angle and just, the Native American, ground itself, there's so much story there. There's so much road. My whole thing is I'm just hoping that they actually go deep, deep, deep into those dark woods, man, like 1800s, 1700s or something like that. That would be amazing. I'd be totally into that. So that's everything, when it comes to the top Jedi news. If you guys are not familiar with the show, that's basically where we just, at the top of the show, we actually just talk about things that don't necessarily have anything in terms of actual conversation attached to them. Like say somebody said the cast for a film or whatever the case may be. And we just want to get into the actual, like topical things that we can actually have theories about and whatnot. We're looming on, the other thing that we should mention is that Loki actually has a release date, which is June 11th. Do you guys have any thoughts and theories on that show? I'll give you mine. I know it was actually addressed that it does connect to WandaVision in some regard when it comes to the actual multiverse situation, timeline situation, and all that, especially considering that it is actually the TVA, which is the Time Variance Agency, which is technically like Time Cops. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of interesting road there to be able to play into. What I'm really excited about is not only does this connect to the Marvel shows and the films, but from all intents and purposes, like Wanda Maximoff in this phase is probably one of the most important characters throughout the entire thing. So it's not like you're going to see her at the end of WandaVision. It's just like, oh, bye-bye. What was great seeing, your evolution. Yeah, she's going to be like probably the most important aspect of that phase, which excites me.
They've kind of put her at the center of everything now. They've built her up so much. There's going to be a whole lot of things, a whole lot of shows and movies that could revolve right around her little universe.
Mm-hmm. We were talking about how Falcon and the Winter Soldier just looks very straightforward, just like just like a perfect meal, like action and whatnot. They did mention in an interview, I think Feige just did an interview about some of the stuff that, was actually going to happen in the MCU. One of them being that the Blade movie with Mahershala Ali is definitely not going to be or rated R. It's going to be PG-13. He has no intention of, keeping that property adult, which is fine. I don't think R really, equates a great film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
how much better are you going to make something if you have? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say how much better are you going to make a film if you can add a couple more curse words in there, or if you can add like one little extra scene or something like that. If it's good at its core, then it's good regardless. I mean,
I still have the same feelings on the whole Justice League, Snyder cut. Like, okay, how's it rated R? Like, honestly, like I really want to know. Because what we saw, from the new Steppenwolf, of course, when he's hitting, Themysciran off their horse, like like they're flying and there's blood flying everywhere, and it's just like, it's just absolutely crazy. So, again, like I'm happy that Feige did announce that, Deadpool is going to stay the way it is, rated R. And in passing, I did watch Deadpool 2. I watched Deadpool 2 again the other night, and it is just phenomenal. Oh my God, like. I think I like it better than the first. I know that's a hot take. Hot. But to get back to Loki, it's cool to see him back, the god of mischief, and there's a lot of road to play on. But like, where there's actually emotional stakes when it comes to the evolution of Sam and Bucky, because I'm sure it's actually going to be in there. I'm happy that this is actually going to be a mystery as well. You know what I mean? So you're not going to really know what's going on, and you're going to be just as confused as you were with WandaVision in the beginning. Where you're just like, what the hell? What is going on? Like I have no idea. But do you guys have any thoughts on any of the Marvel news that came out? The Loki show or anything? Are you guys even excited for the Loki show? I know I am.
mean, I don't have any like solid theories about what's going to go on with Loki, but like you said, he's the god of mischief. He's one of my favorite Marvel characters in the Avengers and things like that. So I'm just really excited to see how he gets in trouble, maybe see some character development and become more of a serious person. So
before we finish up here, let's talk about WandaVision, because that's the hot button news of the hour, and it's almost here, which I'm super stoked about. What do you think is actually going to happen in this episode? Because I think people have a different perspective than they should. And I'll go first if that's okay, because I think even though Agatha Harkness is a villain, I think this actual story that we're seeing tonight is kind of like it's a Wonderful Life situation. And she's going to go back and she's going to show Wanda why she ended up creating this hex the way she did. I think we're actually going to see her in Strucker and Hydra's, facility, sitting there watching an old TV and watching I Love Lucy and stuff, because it's actually the only thing that actually, connects her to some sort of happiness. I think that's what's going to come about with that. So no, I don't think that Agatha ate her children and
Are you sure?
Yeah, it just seems very thin for Feige and Marvel Studios to do that. Oh, she's a witch and she eats, children like cookies. Nah, I don't see that happening. I think honestly, she's going to eventually tell Wanda that her children don't exist, and I think also because of that factor, that she's going to, paraphrase the famous line from House of M, and instead of no more mutants, she's going to say no more children.
Yeah, I mean, it would make a lot of sense. And the thing is, like, Wanda, a lot of has already been made up in Wanda's mind. She made up her life with Vision, and she keeps changing things, and so it's very possible that it all could be completely made up.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's there is a storyline in the comics that that they did eventually travel back to years and years after, but the classic story was that Agatha, I guess in her own way, sort of for Wanda's own good, told her that her children don't exist. Of course, that kind of backfired and, kind of results in the, the equation that is House of M. We had actually talked about a theory earlier where, I had said to you guys that, I adore Paul Bettany. I have ever since I saw him in A Knight's Tale. And, the sad thing about Paul Bettany is he's got this, he really does have this, amazing career, but, he's very humble, and I don't think he thinks very highly of himself as an actor. And that's very sad to see. But he's also very cheeky. He's got a very dry British humor. So the question that I pose to you is, the supposed Luke Skywalker cameo that's going to be coming up, and everybody's thinking like, oh, it's going to be like, Ian McKellen, or it's going to be Al Pacino, or it's going to be this person. What if he was saying that he actually was always wanting to work with himself?
I want to work with me and give myself some credit for once.
Mm-hmm. It just seems like something he would do, where he's just like, oh, I always wanted to work with this person, and it just happens to be him because his version of Vision isn't exactly a realistic, it's a fabrication, and, Sword obviously still has his body, and there's going to be a clash between the two of them.
So Nick Scratch, Nick Scratch, if you guys haven't read the comics, he's actually Agnes's son. So he actually was the one that led the town to persecute and execute Agnes. So I'm wondering if maybe she took him and kept him as a pet as a sort of punishment, and that's going to lead into something else that follows into Doctor Strange. I don't know.
That's interesting you mentioned that, because we were talking, I was talking about like this story, at this point of the story kind of being like It's a Wonderful Life for Wanda.
Exactly.
Like where she got the Mind Stone power and all that stuff from. I'm guaranteeing you guys that's what's happening tonight. But I also think we're actually going to see the origin of Agatha, and we're going to see her being burned at the stake at the Salem witch trials. So it's kind of going to be like an origin backstory for both of them. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is episode 3, guys. Like I said, if you have any theories when it comes to WandaVision, you want to talk about, Falcon the Winter Soldier, you want to talk about the Evil Dead video game, anything that you want to bring up, please feel free to leave them in the comments, and of course, we'll give you our response and our answers on that. If you are not subscribed to this channel, this is the Horror Web YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe. It definitely helps us out in terms of where we go in the future, and and definitely helps us out when it comes to different ideas, things we want to come up with, maybe watch-alongs or Patreon or whatever it is, whatever we can do to actually entertain you guys further. It all starts here with your support. So thank you so much for that. And that's it for us. You guys enjoy WandaVision. From myself, Diane, and Sith, we will talk to you later. Have a good night. Bye-bye.